President Lee Jae-myung at a critical time for the historically ironclad alliance, rattled over Trump's unpredictability with trade and security as North Korea and China continue to threaten the region. Before the meeting, North Korea fired a new round of test missiles, accusing South Korea of stirring up tensions at the border. In the Oval Office, President Lee praised President Trump as the, quote, only person who can improve relations with North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un. Take a listen to President Trump earlier today.
We'll arrange a meeting between you and Kim Jong-un. Would you like that? That's a very tough question. Look, I get along great with Kim Jong-un, and whatever I can do.
Joining us now, Senator Andy Kim, a Democrat from the Garden State of New Jersey. He is the very first Korean American to serve in the United States Senate, and you just got back from Korea and Japan. Let's play a little more from President Trump talking about the Korean Peninsula earlier today.
If Hillary Clinton, crooked Hillary, won that election, I think you would have had a nuclear war. It would have taken place, and it would have been horrendous for everybody, including them.
I'm not sure if you have a reaction to that, but if you do, I'd love to hear it. And do you think it's a good idea for President Trump to create a meeting between Kim Jong-un and President Lee?
Well, I think that what's important right now to recognize, and I hope President Trump sees this very clearly, which is that North Korea is in a fundamentally different place now than they were during Trump's first term. We're talking about now, Vladimir Putin is sending billions of dollars to North Korea. We literally have North Korean troops in Ukraine fighting alongside the Russian military. North Korea feels strong. They feel like they have a strong partner in Russia. They're actually less dependent on China now. They are less desperate for food and resources. So, we need to go in with our eyes wide open in terms of the geopolitical situation. And if President Trump is serious about exploring, talking with North Korea or taking these types of steps, one thing that absolutely needs to happen is we have to reassure our allies, South Korea, Japan, others in the Indo-Pacific, that right now, when I just visited South Korea and Japan and talked with leaders around, they call us unpredictable. They call us right now unreliable. We need to be very careful when we're seeing, talks and summits with Vladimir Putin. Right now, our allies and our partners are worried, and we need to make sure we're stepping up for them.
President Trump tried very hard in his first term for some sort of denuclearization in North Korea. Obviously, that didn't happen. Obviously, I don't begrudge him for trying and trying a new approach, but it didn't work. What do you think came of all that? Was it only just a boost for for Kim Jong-un?
Oh, well, look, it certainly lifted Kim Jong-un to the global stage in that way. But again, I'm a diplomat by trade, worked at the State Department. I'm not opposed to talks. But one thing that always needs to happen is that we need to make sure that any engagements, we have to make sure that our allies are feeling like they are part of this. We see the same challenges when it comes to the talks between Trump and Putin. Our European allies, especially our Ukrainian partners, they are sometimes feeling uncertain or shaky about our posture vis-a-vis them. When it comes to a place like North Korea, this is at a time when China feels like they're on the ascent. When I was going around Asia or I talk with leaders in the Indo-Pacific, they are talking about how China is on a charm offensive right now. They are out there engaging, and they are saying that America is on the decline, that we are not going to be there for them.
You just got back from a trip to South Korea and Japan with Senator Tammy Duckworth, Democrat of Illinois. You were discussing economic and security partnerships, one of which was an emphasis on shipbuilding. Today, President Trump said the U.S. is going to buy ships from South Korea, but also have South Korea make ships here in the United States. Tell us more about this partnership when it comes to this.
Yeah, I don't think the American people might know as much, but South Korea is a shipbuilding juggernaut, and right now the United States needs ships, both military as well as commercial, auxiliary. This is something that Senator Tammy Duckworth has been leading up, as well as a lot of my colleagues. This can be a win-win. So yes, there are areas where I disagree with President Trump about foreign policy in the Middle East or to Korea or elsewhere, or to Asia or Middle East or elsewhere. But when it comes to shipbuilding, when it comes to boosting our innovation, investing in advanced technologies, artificial intelligence, semiconductor chips, memory chips, these are areas of commonality. So I've certainly been trying to urge the Trump administration, my Republican colleagues in the Senate, let's focus in on the places where we know there's bipartisan support, we know there's a national security need. I live about 15 minutes away from the Philadelphia shipyard, the Philly shipyard, which was bought by a Korean company, Hanwha. And that again is a great partnership that can happen where we can make sure we're building up our capacity, building jobs here in the United States, building up our shipbuilding capacity while engaging with a strategic ally. That's a win-win. We don't need to constantly see things right now through a zero-sum lens when it comes to our foreign policy. So often, Trump's America First policy sometimes comes across as if it's America only. And I think we need to show that there are still places where our allies have a lot to offer the United States.
All right, Senator Andy Kim, Democrat from New Jersey. Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for coming here. Some rather nasty digs today between President Trump and the Illinois governor. Trump called Governor Pritzker a slob. The governor